Today, we are going to look at the styles of homes that are located in Germantown and in Collierville in Tennessee. So whether you want sleek, modern elegance, or you're looking for the traditional style, Southern traditional style, classic style, I'm going to take you to Germantown and Collierville and show you exactly what types of houses have been built over the years and what they're building now. Let's get started. Welcome back to my channel, Living in Memphis and the Mid-South. I'm Amy Clark with Crowlike Realtors, your local go-to realtor for everything living in Memphis and the Mid-South. Well, if you need to move to Memphis and you need to know what types of homes are here, what styles here, what luxury builders are doing now, tap that bell for notifications, hit subscribe so you'll get to know everything you need to know about living in Memphis and the Mid-South. Let's see what types of houses are currently being built and traditional homes that have been built in Germantown and in Collierville. So when Collierville was being developed, it was like the late 1800s, 1890s. It was developed before Germantown. Now Germantown is in between Collierville and Memphis. But the late 1890s, there was a huge revival, or not revival, but a huge Victorian era style. And it's the wealth in society and your place in society in the late 1800s, 1890s. So especially after the railroad was finished out there in Collierville. So Collierville has had an initiative put in place to keep this Victorian legacy alive. There is actually a new development. It's called Washington Gates, and it is to emulate the small town feeling and architecture of the Victorian style. So Washington Gates, new subdivision, and it is a tribute to the Victorian Queen Anne style era. So some of the most beautiful Victorian homes are located in Collierville's historic district near the town square. Many of these homes have been restored. Now look, these homes are 135 years old, so they probably needed to be restored, but they're restored and they go back to their original charm, elegance. Do you think you should live in a Victorian home? I am not particularly one of those that wants to live in a 135-year-old house, but maybe I would check out Washington Gates. That I could probably do. Drop a comment, tell me if you like the Victorian style or not. Then we're gonna move on to Colonial Revival homes started appearing in early 1900s, inspired by American architecture. They saw a major resurgence in the 1950s and 1960s as families in Germantown and Collierville embraced traditional designs that felt elegant and established. So brick is the go-to material for a Colonial Revival, a Southern classic. So if you are in Germantown and you're driving through Farmington Boulevard and all the way down to Johnson Road, you're gonna find Kimbrough Grove, Dogwood Trails, Grove Park, filled with two-story brick colonial homes. There's a new gated community, Notting Way in Germantown, also features these Southern classic Colonial Revival homes. These are the most prevalent in Germantown and in Collierville because homeowner preferences favored conservative, traditional elegance and timeless quality. So a bunch of the HOAs got together and said they didn't want avant-garde designs. Additionally, local covenants and homeowner preferences favored the conservative Colonial Revival style. So that paved way for more of that style house riding through Germantown and into Collierville. The traditional brick homes with the colonial elements that are arguably the most prevalent style, defining the local architecture. So that is most of what we have in Germantown and Collierville, the Colonial Revival. It is gonna be a red brick house with classic white trim and columns, stately columns, trim shutters, very symmetrical house, grand staircases, detailed ground molding, formal dining rooms on the inside. So these are most of your homes in Germantown and Collierville. And the most important Colonial Revival home is the 1840 John Gray house. It was built in Germantown and it had their bricks built on site. They fired the bricks on site. The clay and the structure of the ground around here allowed for bricks to be built on site. So that's the 1840s John Gray house. So give me a thumbs up and like this video if you like Colonial Revival, the Southern classic. So the next one we're coming to is the Craftsman or the Craftsman Bungalow. This is the most popular in the Midtown area of Memphis and the Mid-South. But there are some in Collierville near the town square. They are modest sized homes that have gorgeous big giant front porches on them, and they are prized historic gems. So they shifted away from the opulence of the Victorian Queen Anne style home here, and they went to a more modest style, more clean lines, big front porches, and they had tapered or square columns. Wooden beams, exposed wooden beams, deep front porches, and many of them have built-in bookshelves. So some of the Craftsman homes in the Collierville's historic district, they're nestled along tree-lined streets, on the streets like Walnut and the Natchez. Not the Natchez, the Natchez is a boat, but Natchez Street in Collierville. So that's where you're gonna find your Craftsman style homes in Collierville, downtown old historic term down there. So the Tudor Revival. Now think of the Tudor as a fairy tale home, an English fairy tale charm, inspired by English cottages. Tudor Revival homes gained popularity in the 1920s, and we saw a popularity of them in luxury home builders in the 1980s and 1990s. They saw lots of Tudor style homes being built in Germantown and Collierville in the 80s and 90s. You're gonna have steeped roofs. It's gonna be asymmetrical. It's very common. It's gonna have brick or stonework on the bottom, and then the top of it is gonna have trim, a dark wood, brown or black trim with a light colored stucco or a facade in between it. So it's a two-toned kind of house, dark open trim at the top, asymmetrical. It's gonna have the old world feel with arched doorways, and asymmetry is common in the Tudor. And you're gonna have brick or stone on the bottom half of the house. It's gonna be a two-story house, more than likely. And the trim is gonna be on the top with stucco in between it. So it's gonna be wooden trim. And the trim is always gonna be defined by earthly tones, blacks or browns. And some of these Germantown houses need to go back to that because they have a Tudor house and they've put green or they've put orange or whatever weird color on their house. And it breaks my heart because Tudor's my favorite style house. They have leaded glass windows. It's a true old world feel inside the house. And some gated subdivisions like Not Away in Germantown, they're building new Tudor style estate houses. So the Tudor's my favorite house. I don't currently live in a Tudor. I live in the next style of house. French country, probably for my Parisian roots or my Paris family or my French roots maybe, French Cajun roots down in Louisiana. It's usually stucco brickstone. Stucco's not that big here. We do have some stucco houses here in the Mid-South area, but the heat and humidity do not do well with stucco. It could be a problem. You could have to redo your whole exterior if you come into a problem with stucco because of the weather around here. So, but traditionally it's a stucco, stone, or brick veneer. It's got steep roofs, arched entryways, gives these homes grand elegance and charm. You're gonna have, they're really becoming popular with luxury builders right now in the home market in Germantown and Collierville. Tall windows with arches. Now this silhouette of this house is gonna be more vertical than it is gonna be less like a ranch style house. And they're gonna have grand front doors. So they grew in popularity in the 1920s, but they're still popular today. The builders offer French country as a favorite or an alternative to the colonial styles. So these are the luxury builders offering your French country charm here. And the neighborhoods you're gonna see, they're gonna have large lots, they're gonna have park-like surroundings. You'll see plenty of French country homes in Woodlawn Village and Magnolia Preserve in Collierville. Would you pick a French country home? I did, probably on accident. It was just what we bought. So this one is what everybody wants. Can you imagine what everybody wants right now? What all the builders are building, they just seem to go to it. It's been popularized by the media and HGTV, and it's the Modern Farmhouse, of course. They've taken over the last decade. And these homes are particularly stylish, family friendly, and very, very popular with luxury builders. So I worked for a builder in Piperton at the Piperton Preserve, and he was building this style house. And it's a great neighborhood, the Piperton Preserve. That's in Fayette County, so it's just on the other side of Collierville. And Piperton and Eads, they're all dotted with all of these modern farmhouses and new neighborhoods going up. But in the video that I'm showing you today, I drove through Shepherd's Creek. Y'all can see that in the video. These are the houses in Shepherd's Creek neighborhood, and it's got the modern farmhouse, but I pulled up Shepherd's Creek and Collierville specifically because I think it has a lot of elements of a lot of these home styles. So you could see some French country, you can see some Tudor elements, you can see colonial elements. You're not going to see the Craftsman element in, or the bungalow Craftsman element in this neighborhood at Shepherd's Creek. But on the drive-through, there's plenty of examples of all of these houses that I talked about today. But as the modern farmhouse with grand modern kitchens, open layouts, it's really a tribute to the real farmhouses that were here, that stood here years and years ago, bringing architectural history full circle back to the Memphis and MidSouth area. So we used to have all these farmhouses, now we have modern farmhouses. So you're gonna find more of that in Collierville than you will Germantown. In Germantown, you'd probably have to buy a lot or 2 lots and do a tear down and do a modern farmhouse. But in Collierville and in Eads and Piperton, going out a little in the suburban areas, you're gonna find the modern farmhouse being built like crazy over there. So why do certain home styles thrive in Germantown and Collierville? The answer lies in the history, the climate, and the lifestyle. We just talked about the history of the farmhouse. Collierville's roots go back to the 1800s, and so they really liked the Victorian and the Craftsman. Germantown grew more in the mid-20th century, so that leans more colonial estates and French country homes with modern designs. Now the climate in Tennessee is hot in the summers, it's humid, so the porches are a big deal. Tall ceilings and brick exteriors really help shade and insulate the house. Before there was modern conveniences of air conditioning and indoor plumbing probably. But lifestyle and trends, it's a Southern culture and value tradition is why colonial and French country styles remain so popular here. Meanwhile, the farmhouse has skyrocketed and demands by homeowners seek a balance between charm and the contemporary style. High-end buyers look for custom details, making Tudor and French-inspired designs a favorite in Germantown's luxury neighborhoods. So there you have it. That's what Germantown and Collierville look like. Those are the types of homes that are here that built in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and the modern farmhouse being built right now. So drop me a comment, tell me what you think about the style of these houses, if you liked any of the homes that we looked at today, and which one is your favorite. Let me know. My favorite is the Tudor, but I live in a French country. So there's your quiz. There's your quiz for the day. If you need to move to Memphis in the Mid-South, please give me a call. I'm Amy Clark with Crowley Realtors, your go-to realtor for living in Memphis in the Mid-South. Contact me today so we can make your Memphis dream a reality. Thanks for watching. Watch my next video.